Hi, everybody. This is Anthony Buongiorno speaking, your English 151 instructor. Today, what I want to do is just walk you through the options for the major project and also just do a little bit of a review of where we have been, where we are now, where we're going in the course. So, I'm going to ask you right at the top here to forgive me if I sound a little muffled because I'm recording on my laptop from home. I don't have the most high tech equipment here, but I'm doing my best. And also to forgive me if I pause or stumble at all. I'm not used to sitting alone in a room speaking to a laptop. I'm used to sitting in front of students. So this is new for all of us, including me. Um, I also want to say right here at the top, before I go any further, that I really hope that you're all doing well. I think of you often. I miss our class very much. I'm glad that we're still keeping in touch through Blackboard in this remote learning mode, but I'm one of those people who just thinks that nothing can replace actual face to face interaction, especially for a discussion based course like this. Um, and while I am confident that you guys will all do well and that we will develop as writers, I think that something is missing. And I know that you're probably feeling that too. So just know that I am feeling that as well. And like I said earlier, we're all doing the best we can. And I thank you for your participation. And I hope that you're all healthy and well, and your families are all healthy and well. So let's get started. So let's talk about the paper sequence for the course. So we're going to just go through the papers that we've already done and the papers that we still have left to do. So first, we started with essay number one, which was the American Dream essay. So this was a journalistic piece. You guys interviewed someone. You wrote a case study. You also had a reflective component. Um, those were all graded. Okay. If you did not get your paper back, please email me as soon as possible and I will send you a PDF scan of your paper with my comments on it. I apologize if you didn't get it back for whatever reason. Obviously, nobody was expecting school to break so suddenly as it did. Um, so, anyway, back to our sequence. So, that was the first paper. And I have a little check mark there because it's been done. We're past this paper, and it was worth 20% of your final grade. Essay number two, all of those have been returned. Now, those were submitted through Blackboard. I have graded all of them and provided lots of comments on them through Blackboard. You need to check Blackboard, check your grade, and review my comments. Okay? That was an expository paper about an American myth. I have to say, overall, I was very impressed and really enjoyed reading your American myth papers. Um, that also was out of 20. So it's another 20% of your final grade. Okay, so now we're moving on to the third paper. So I have a little hand emoji with a pen because that means this is the paper we're currently beginning work on. So this is the most major paper for the semester. It's worth the most. It's worth 30% of your final grade. And it is, um, well, let me just say there is flexibility here. So you have options. So you can either do the original project as it was designed for the course, which is the America Today project, which is a persuasive research essay, or you can choose to do the new COVID-19 project, which is an inquiry based research paper. Briefly, the difference between those two, America Today is being written in a persuasive mode. So you're identifying a problem in American society or American culture, and then you are writing to affect change. So you are pitching a strategy to help alleviate or remedy this problem supported by research. The COVID-19 project is an inquiry-based research paper, so it's not persuasive. Let me say this: all theses, that's thesis statements, are usually somewhat argumentative in nature because at the end of the day, you're always trying to prove something. However, it's not fully persuasive because you're not arguing for change. What you're doing is using research to help answer your questions. So that's what I mean by inquiry based. You're inquiring about something that is obviously new and that is developing every day and that not much is known about in the grand scheme of things. And you're trying to come to some conclusions based on what exists out there in the world in the way of information. Okay. So we've been writing in different modes throughout the semester. And here you have a choice. Either write persuasively, meaning trying to affect change in your reader, trying to start a movement, or writing to inquire. Okay, so you trying to make sense of the world through research. Okay, so that's the one that we're getting started on now. Essay number 4 is the course wrap-up. It is reflective. I have a little clock emoji there because we're waiting to start that one. We haven't gotten there yet. It's worth 10% of your grade, and I just thought it was really important for us to have an opportunity to write about this experience because this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, hopefully. And I think that writing reflectively about how we are managing to survive or have survived this thing is really important for us as writers and as scholars. Okay, so those are the 4 essays, all right? So I want to remind you of the revision option. I talked about it in class. I've talked about it in a few of the documents that I've posted. And I've also mentioned it in the comments on your papers, but I want to be super clear here. You can revise. You have the option to revise your first and or second paper for a higher grade by the end of the semester. So if you did not get a very good grade on your first paper, or a grade that you're not happy with, let's say, same for your second paper. You have until the end of the semester to do a revision based on my comments. I will then regrade your paper and replace your original grade with a higher grade. Okay? Just to clarify and to be super straightforward with you, if you're doing a revision based on my comments, you're going to get a higher grade. Okay? I'm not out to get you. This is not a trick. Okay? If I see that you've actually taken my comments into consideration and have done your due diligence and done a revision, that grade will go up. It will not stay the same. It will not go down. Okay? I can't promise you an A+, but I can promise you that whatever you got, you will see gains on. Okay? All right. The final deadline for those revisions is May 22nd, 2020. I have tried my best to give you as much time as humanly possible to revise. May 22nd, 2020 is literally the last day. So please, if you're going to revise, don't send me anything on May 23rd because I really at that point won't be able to do anything. Okay? I need it by May 22nd, 2020. And again, you can revise none of your papers. You can revise your first paper. You can revise your second paper. You can revise both your first and second paper. Have at it. Writing is rewriting. I'm all about revision. But make sure that I get it by May 22nd. You're not going to have time to revise your fourth paper, but that's okay because it's a reflective paper. So it's just going to be you writing about your experience. So there's not going to be much to revise. It's not going to be graded as harshly as the other papers, and it's only worth 10%. And this third paper, the major project for the semester, a revision is already built into the timeline. So you will already be writing a revision. So that's why this revision option only applies to the first and second paper. Okay? All right, let's move on. I'm so not used to talking to no one. This is very odd. Okay, so let's talk about essay number 3. Your options are, as I said earlier, the America Today paper or the COVID-19 project. All right, so for this third paper, our major project for the semester, you will have lots of choices. So the first choice you will make is which of these two you're going to choose. Are you going to complete the original project, America Today, or would you like to complete the new project option, the COVID-19 project? There are certainly pros and cons for each, but let's get into a brief overview first. America Today. So this was the original project to go along with our original theme, which was strictly American dreams, myths. Okay. Through this course, we have explored various issues in American culture and have written about them using various modes. For this third and lengthiest paper, your writing mode will be persuasive. In other words, you will argue for change, offering research-backed solutions. Your paper will essentially be divided into 2 major sections. First, you'll identify a problem or conflict existent in the United States in 2020. You will provide your audience with pertinent background information on this topic. Second, you will pitch strategy. How should this conflict be handled in order to be alleviated? What steps can be taken to right this wrong? What avenues should be utilized to achieve these goals? So again, this is a super brief overview. I will be posting for you in this week's folder a more in-depth document with even an example outline for a potential paper for America Today. So this is, as I said earlier, the original option, and it's got some pros and cons, as I said. So a pro would be that this paper was designed to build on the 2 papers you've already written. It can be informed by the readings and discussions that we've had in class, and it's probably the more traditional option. And for some of you, that might be easier to write. In that you will probably find a lot of research on your topic because these are all issues that are well established and have been written about extensively, as opposed to COVID, which is a new issue, and you may have a harder time finding sources that relate to it. A con for this option, to be totally honest, might be that you have a lot on your mind right now and it's all COVID related. And, you know, if that's the case, that's the case. And I get it. And so if you're really just thinking about COVID 24/7, then you probably are going to want to write about COVID. So then that's the con for choosing this option is it may be, difficult to focus on since it's not related to what's going on in your world right now. That being said, that could also be a pro. If you're looking for an escape and you're looking for a distraction and you want to take a break from all the COVID stuff, by all means, explore another issue that affects the United States of America, American culture, American society, American political systems. And that may be something you're looking for as well. So it's again, totally up to you. But I wanted to highlight the pros and cons for you, at least as I see them. All right, so the next option is the COVID-19 option. Okay, so here's the description. What questions do you now have about COVID-19 and or the impact of the current pandemic on our lives? For instance, you might be wondering what researchers are working on to counter the virus. Or you might be wondering about the economic impact of a pandemic. Or you might be wondering if we've ever seen anything quite like this before. In short, almost anything you are wondering or worrying about is something you can likely learn more about to make better sense of it. This assignment gives you that chance. So again, This is an assignment that's based on inquiry. You are doing research not to necessarily affect change or to vehemently argue a point, but rather to try to make sense of an issue, of our current situation, and try to come to some conclusions yourself. So for this research essay, you will pose a question and research it using quality, trustworthy sources from the news, from applicable, oh boy, sorry. Okay. From applicable .gov and .org sites and from scholarly sources. Your goal will be to write an inquiry-based exploration of your question and try to reach some answers or conclusions. Again, this is just a brief overview. On that document that I will be posting very shortly in this week's folder, you will get a better picture of what a paper like this might look like. So let's go through the pros and cons of this option as I see them. A pro would be that this is, as I said earlier, all that everybody seems to be thinking about right now. So it might be therapeutic for you. It may be, frankly, rewarding for you to do some research on this issue, paying attention only to valid, trustworthy sources, and come to some conclusions about this for your own sake of peace of mind and well-being. So you may actually get a lot out of this project in the way of figuring out the world, which may be calming for you. As I see it, I think that's a pro. A major con for this option is that unlike the other project, this is not a well-researched, well-established issue yet. This is certainly going to be a huge event in history that's going to be written about for years to come. But as of this moment, you may have some trouble finding scholarly sources about COVID-19, but that doesn't mean they're not there. And also, I will say for this project, as long as a source is trustworthy, it doesn't necessarily have to be scholarly. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a peer-reviewed journal article. It can be, and there have already been some that have been produced, but it could be also from trusted news sites and .gov or .org sites. In general, for any kind of research writing, you're going to want to avoid .com websites. You're going to want to avoid blogs, and you're going to want to avoid Wikipedia. I know we all love Wikipedia. Listen, I love Wikipedia. It's great. It's a great tool. However, it can be edited by anybody at any time. So it cannot be used for a formal research paper. What you can do, as I've suggested in class, is you can use Wikipedia as a starting point, a jumping off point, and then familiarize yourself with a topic through what's offered on Wikipedia, and then scroll to the bottom to the sources that are cited. And many times the sources that are cited on Wikipedia, those are good primary and secondary sources that are trustworthy. Okay? So anyway, this is your COVID-19 option. I'm not really sure which way most of you guys are going to go on this. I'm actually anticipating kind of like a 50-50 split. But again, the choice is totally yours. This is your writing course. I want your writing to develop, and I want your skills to improve, and I want your writing to work for you. At the end of the day, I want you to learn. So that's why I'm trying to give you as much flexibility as possible, especially during this time of uncertainty. Okay? So let's move on. All right, so let's talk about the requirements. So this goes for both papers. Both must be formatted according to MLA style. There are lots of resources on Blackboard for MLA style. So guys, I would really encourage you to take a look on my Blackboard page at the left-hand column. I've tried to provide and am continuing to provide for you lots of helpful resources for you. And a lot of them have to do with MLA style and just writing mechanics in general. A really great resource is the OWL, the online writing lab from Purdue University. I've linked it on the left-hand column, and it answers basically any question you might have about MLA format or style, I guess, according to the 8th edition, which is the edition we're currently working with. I was a little bit disappointed, I'll be honest, just a little, to see that so many of your papers did not include properly formatted MLA Works cited pages. So that's something I'm really going to be looking for, you guys. This is a skill you should have mastered in English 111. I want to make sure that by the time you leave 151, you know how to put together an MLA Works cited page. It is not simply a list of links. That is not how we cite sources, okay? Additionally, if something appears on your works cited page, it's because you have quoted from it or have paraphrased from it in the body of your paper. And in that case, and in those instances, you need in-text citations. So also take a look at MLA in-text citations. So it's usually the author's last name and a page number, or if there is no author, it'll be the title of the article and a page number, or if you've already established what the article is, just the page number. There are lots of guidelines for you. And I don't want to overwhelm you, but I do think that this is, I know that this is something that's going to come up again in your other courses in the future, and this is the place to really master this. So please take a look at all that stuff, okay? So your papers must be between 6 and 8 pages in length. Now, I've shortened this paper. It was originally supposed to be 8 to 10 pages. Because I added the reflection, and because the world is upside down, I think it's more than appropriate to shorten the length of this paper and lighten your load a little bit. So what was once an 8 to 10 page paper is now a 6 to 8 page paper. Of course, you can go over that. Don't go too far over, okay? Try to stick by the page requirement. But just know that 4 pages is not going to be enough. 5 pages is not going to be enough. You really need to get to 6 minimum, and try not to go too far over 8. Don't turn in a paper that's like 25 pages for this. But if you want to turn in a paper that's 9 pages, I think that'll be okay. All right. And if you want to turn in a paper that's 6 pages, that's also okay. Do the best you can. Okay. All right. As I said earlier, it must include an MLA Works Cited page, properly formatted. I'm also going to post a few more videos under the helpful videos link about putting together your MLA Works Cited page and MLA style in general. Remember, please, that the MLA Works Cited page is the last page of your paper. It is its own separate page, and it does not count as part of the 6 to 8 pages, unfortunately. Okay? All right. So this paper must be research-based, with a minimum of 5 valid sources cited. Now, this is also a reduction. Generally speaking, under normal circumstances, the number of sources that you cite in a paper usually align with the number of pages. So a 6 to 8 page paper usually should cite 6 to 8 sources, so roughly 1 per page. I've cut that down because of the situation that we're in, to try to make this work for everybody, or for as many people as possible. So it's a minimum of 5 valid sources. Again, you can cite from more sources. I encourage you to. But if you have 5, that's perfectly fine as well, as long as there are 5 and they are valid, meaning nothing from Wikipedia. Also, no homework helper sites. Guys, don't go trying to find other student papers. So don't find example papers online. That's not ethical. That's not true research. Don't quote from Quizlet. Okay. Um, don't quote from SparkNotes. Those are homework helper sites. Those are not true, trustworthy sources for research. Okay. Okay. This project will require a proposal, which you're going to do first, then a draft, and then a final draft. So with this goes to support what I said earlier about this project having a draft um, in its design, in the timeline. So that's why you don't have the option of revising this paper again by the end of the semester, because you're already going to be doing a revision based on my comments and suggestions. Okay? I'm asking okay as if you're going to answer, but okay, let's keep going. So let's talk about that timeline. So proposals are going to be due at the end of this week, by next Monday, April 20th. Okay? It's just you pitching your idea to me. If we were in the traditional classroom, this would be a conversation between the two of us. Since we're not doing that, and we're not in the classroom, you're going to write it as just a brief explanation of which paper option you're choosing, what your idea is, knowing that it could change, what your idea is as of right now, and how you plan to find research, and basically what work you've already done. Just basically, this is like a check-in so that I know a week before the draft is due that you have started, that you have an idea, that you have committed to something. Even if you're going to change it a little bit later, it's going to be really helpful for you to not leave this to the last minute, because I'm sure your lives are crazy right now, as is mine. It's amazing how crazy our lives can be when most of us are not leaving our houses, but they are. And I know that this is not the only course you're taking. So I'm trying to work with you here. So you have the week to put together this proposal, okay? The first draft will be due the 27th. So this draft is going to need to be at least 4 to 5 pages, and it will be evaluated in return for a final revision. This draft, even though it's a draft, must also include your MLA Works Cited page. I need to see your sources. I'm going to remind you again, English 151 is a research writing class. Everything we do is based on research. I read some really great papers last time around and the first time around that were well written and well structured, but they had no research. So therefore, they could not receive a passing grade, because that's just not the purpose of the course, which is to do research and write based on your findings. So you need to have research integrated into your first draft, which again only has to be 4 to 5 pages. I will provide you with lots of suggestions for how you can lengthen, elaborate, and improve your paper for the final draft. What I'm going to give you is a temporary grade. That grade will be replaced, not averaged. It will be replaced entirely when you hand in your final paper that is revised. So that being said, if this draft is significantly late, you may lose out on your chance to revise. Now, I'm sorry, but if it's due the 27th, and I'm going to get it back to you in a timely fashion so that you have as much time as possible to write your revision, you need to get it to me on time. And if you don't, then we're going to be looking at a situation where that grade may not be temporary. It may just be your grade because you're not going to have time to do a revision, or at least you're going to have very limited time. So please This needs to be turned in on time through Blackboard. Okay. And the final draft will be due May 11th. This final draft must be 6 to 8 pages in length, and again, must include an MLA works cited page. Okay. So let's start wrapping up by just talking about a few things to remember. Let's talk about the research writing process. We talked about this in class, but it's worth going over again and again and again. You should start by choosing a topic, then formulating a research question, then, based on your research question, doing research, then from there, formulating a thesis, a working thesis, one that you could change later, and then drafting. So don't start drafting a paper before you've done research. Don't start drafting a paper before you have a thesis, right? I would encourage you to outline a paper first based on the research you've done. Make a plan. Drafting comes last, okay? And then, obviously, after this point, for this paper, there'll be a revision and final draft. But I cannot stress enough. Choose your topic. Come up with some kind of question, some research question, something you're looking for. Do your research. Do lots of it. Then get to drafting, okay? So that's the research writing process. Another thing to remember. Maintain a formal tone throughout this paper. So we've been writing in lots of different modes throughout this semester. For this paper and for the American Myth paper, you are supposed to have a formal academic tone, which means you should not be writing in the first person. So avoid first person pronouns like I, me, we, and avoid a conversational tone. Don't share any personal experience. That's not totally forbidden from all types of writing, but it's not appropriate for formal research writing like this, okay? There are many other types of research writing that are more informal where the first person is used, and we've read some of those in class. However, for this, a traditional college research paper, first person should be avoided. Don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about experiences you've had. Avoid any personal anecdotes. There will be time to write personally / reflectively, and that will be in the final paper. Okay? Another note, you should also avoid the second person. So the second person is referring directly to the reader, calling out the reader and saying you. So you have to work really hard to achieve the American dream. That's informal. So that should be revised to a person needs to work very hard to achieve the American dream. One needs to work very hard to achieve the American dream. An American citizen needs to work very hard to achieve the American dream. Very easy fix. So avoid first and second person, and no personal anecdotes, no personal experiences. Not for this paper. Okay? MLA style. I touched on this already, but it's worth repeating. Your paper must be formatted according to MLA style. There are plenty of resources on Blackboard. Okay, so I've said it again. That just goes to show how important this is. And this is a final note from me to you on a personal level. I want you to succeed in this class. I understand that we are in a crazy, unprecedented, unpredictable situation right now. I understand that. I understand that this is not business as usual. So know that I'm willing to work with you, whatever it takes for you to succeed, for you to pass and move on from 151 and go on with your life, okay, and your college career. I'm not here to trick you. I'm not here to say gotcha. I want to work with you. So if you're falling behind on assignments, yes, you can turn things in late. I'm going to accept everything late or anything late, with a few notable exceptions like that first draft that I talked about earlier. But as for like your responses, even the discussion boards, late is better than never. I want you to do well. Please hand in your stuff. Um, I cannot give you a passing grade if you don't hand everything in. And I don't want to give anybody a failing grade at all. That's the last thing I want. Okay? Please hand in all your stuff, and don't disappear on me. So, a couple of you have kind of gone MIA, and I'm worried about you. I'm worried that you're not doing well. I'm worried that you don't have the proper resources. Um, Please reach out to me. Okay? Um, I want us to get through this as unscathed as possible. Okay? Um, so just know that I'm pulling for you and I'm on your side and I'm here to work with you. Okay? If you have any questions about this or anything, if you want to chat with me, if you want to say hi, if you want to just touch base, please visit my virtual office hour. It's this Thursday and every Thursday for the rest of the semester from 5 to 6 p.m. on Zoom. I will post a link to the Zoom. I've had a few of you come in and ask me some questions and catch up with me, and that's been great. I'd like to see and hear from more of you. So 5 to 6 p.m., mark your calendars. Come on in and just pretend it's my office and ask me a question. If you can't make it, you can either post your question in the Q&A board in the virtual coffee house, which I really, really strongly suggest, because if you have a question, that means 10 other students have the same exact question as you, which means I'll be killing multiple birds with one stone, so to speak. So it's really helpful for me if you ask your questions on the Q&A board. If you really want to speak to me one-on-one, you want to set up a chat. It could be a text chat or a video chat or a call. We can make that happen. I'm working full-time from home, so I'm home. It's just me and my dog. So I'm around. In this case, send me an email and tell me when you're available, and we'll set up a call. Okay, so that, I think, is all that I have for you. Again, I hope that you're all well. I hope you're all healthy. I hope your families are well. You're all in my thoughts. I really do miss you all. Take care.